I get a great deal of pleasure from engraving. I do lose myself completely. It's a bit of an isolated occupation, really. I'm better off without company in many ways. Sometimes I'm completely lost in what I'm doing. When I first came to Taunton, I had the idea that I could work for the Admiralty. My father, who worked there as a printer, put the idea into my head, and I'd often seen copper plates and the printing process and decided I would like to at least apply for a job. The Hydrographic Office is part of the Admiralty, responsible for producing a worldwide coverage of charts. My apprenticeship was 6 years, and the very first strokes on my practice plate were really quite exciting. I started off just using a single line engraver with very, very tentative strokes, progressing then to curved strokes and body strokes for lettering, gradually building up those components to form complete letters, words, sentences. With a direct printing process, everything has to be engraved in reverse to what you might see it, rather like a mirror image of it. From the very beginnings of my apprenticeship, I was taught how to do that. With repetition and practice, it became second nature. My tutor told me that one day it would be like riding a bike, and I can still ride a bike, and I can still engrave. Having moved away from chart making, I now have a very varied repertoire. My process is to make a drawing, which I then trace onto film. And I use a steel point to actually scratch the image. Once I've got the image on the film, I roll wax over the surface and then transfer that in position on the copper. I burnish the back of the film, which transfers the wax to the plate. I'm using a burnisher, and I'm removing the film. You can actually see the design in reverse. Because it's not very definite, I make the line work a little more permanent with a steel point. I can then use the graver to engrave the outline and any modelling that's necessary. The graver is pushed through the copper to give me a line that will retain ink. Each line can give form and shadow. In this case, an example of Helleborus niger. When people see me working and the results that I've had, they always say, "You must be very patient." But members of the family contradict that. I may be patient while I'm working, but I get very impatient about other everyday things at home. What I'm doing really is building up each letter stage by stage. After I've engraved the design in the copper plate, it has to be printed. Well, the printing process starts with inking the plate. You can use a squeegee like this, or sometimes a roller on bigger plates. The object is to fill the engraving with ink and then wiping the surface so that the surface has no ink on it, but it does remain in the engraving. When the surface is clean, we place the plate on the press. Lay on a dampened paper, dampened to give flexibility. blankets come onto the whole lot, and between two rollers the whole bed moves, and that transfers the ink to the paper. It's time then to examine the proof, and this is still, after all these years, quite an exciting time for me to see that proof. It's almost apprehension. Have I got it right? Have I got the modelling right? Have I got the shading right? Once I pull the proof from the plate, that's the real exciting bit for me. You know, after all these years, I still get that little buzz. I can't imagine really a life without being able to engrave and produce these images. I do really still enjoy it so very much.